Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup. We're going to cover the games from the LCS from last night, LCK from this morning, and LEC. The LCS series between NRG and TL is going on right now. That will be on tomorrow's Roundup. I am then previewing the LCK, LPL, and LEC games for tomorrow. Predictions, I'm 238 and 119. In the LCS last night, we had EG and TSM duke it out. EG would win 3-2. Revenge was MVP. He would have a penta kill in game 2 on Jax. That was an 18-kill game for him. Jojo Pune 23, 15, and 37, 30% of damage across the entire series. Unforgiven had the best KDA at 16, 6, and 25. Wild Turtle 17, 17, 25, 27% of damage for TSM. So TSM came out firing. Actually won game 1. Boogie, very active. Insanity looked good as well on the Lucian. And I thought Insanity was the strongest player for TSM throughout this entire series, despite Wild Turtle getting the flowers in the shout out in this short little, stat breakdown. I thought Insanity was the best player. Now, EG, honestly, Jojo Pune's probably the best player across all 5 games, but as you know, if you're not new to the channel, a pentakill gets you automatic MVP status. Revenge gets it. I thought Revenge was very good in this series. It was TSM isn't good enough for me to say it's a breakout series, but it might be the most important series Revenge has played in his entire LCS career. And he looked very good. The Jax 18-kill game, that was disgusting. But he also set the pace on Haunter throughout the series, I felt like. And then in Game 5 on the Aatrox was a difference maker. Frankly, he was the MVP in Game 5. Jojo was excellent on the Ari when he got it throughout this series. But Revenge looked disgusting for a couple of these games. There is something to keep in mind. TSM, for some reason, felt like it was either Ornn or Rumble for Haunter. And I don't think you can get any... Well, you could, but... we're looking at 2 very different ends of the spectrum, right? 2 very different looks. Ornn makes sense for Haunter. Haunter is not a carry-oriented player, in my opinion. He needs to play weak side, allow Insanity to carry on Kesa, Tristana, Lucian, Yone, things like that. Like Insanity is a carry-oriented mid laner when they're playing their best. Now, instead, they put Haunter on Rumble. Not great. Not great. And it allowed Revenge to be freed up. I thought Boogie tried his damnedest to help TSM, like I said in Game 1, helping Insanity, and I thought he was very active throughout this series. Shaden played for EG. I thought he played pretty good, given that he's only played not even a handful of games in the LCS prior to this. It is an interesting thing. EG may be going with dual junglers throughout the playoffs and probably at Worlds if they can get there. And frankly... it's not a surprise. It feels like that. EG's done it before with contracts and Svenskeren a few years back. And honestly, it's very reminiscent of teams past when it comes to junglers, because junglers can be very different. Shaden looks like a very good player, but the jury's out for me on how I want to label him. But I feel like Armeo is a... facilitator at his best. So if Shaden can provide a carry-oriented look, it does give EG opportunities. Now, Revenge played very carry-oriented in this one. So I don't know if you want carry-oriented players over your top 3 roles. Unforgiven's capable of playing weak side, but I prefer not to think about putting my bot lane on weak side. But that is what it is. EG win 3-2. Revenge is MVP. He was disgusting. Jojo Pune was excellent. And Boogie really kept it going for TSM, in my opinion. LCK, KDF, D+. D+ would win 2-0. They're 10-5. KDF 4-12. Canyon was MVP, playing Nico both games. Deft 11-3-11, 30% of damage in the win. Showmaker went deathless at 8-07. Bulldog 3-4-1, 33% of damage in the loss, trying his hardest and unable to win. Honestly, every which way you look at it, I thought that D+ were better. Mid lane, I guess, could be close, because Bulldog didn't int, where Dudu got solo killed by Kana at one point. Honestly, Deft and Kellen made his return. They set the pace in bot lane against Taeyun and Andal, getting multiple 2v2 kills. And unfortunately for Def, Taeyun ended up returning that favor in game 2, which kind of, I wouldn't say it soured me. I mean, the guy went 11-3-11, and I thought he played very well. But Canyon, I thought, was a big deal on the Nico. In game 1 especially, his pop blossoms were on point. He is the one right now that can actually play Nico in the jungle and make it a real ban-worthy threat. Not many junglers are playing it, but Canyon is playing it to a very high level. As far as everything else concerned, I mean, D plus and lane kind of got it done, which makes it kind of weird, right? You're making the jungler MVP, but I thought that, like, in game 1, the game was still relatively close, and then Canyon took over. He did take a trip bot lane to really solidify that bot lane lead, and then in key team fights came through. And then in game 2, he came through again, as it was almost a salty run back. I think it was just the top laners that were swapped when it came to D Plus's lineup, and KDF, I feel like, was mostly the same. So I don't know why KDF ran it back, but they did. Liv Sandbox Brian. Liv Sandbox win 2-0. They're 5-11. Brian 4-11. Closer was MVP, 12-3-16, 36% of damage. Teddy 8-2-14. Henna 4-5-5, 31% of damage in the loss. Closer on LeBlanc was all over the place, really active, and an escape artist too. Like, really, really great mind games played by Closer against Brian, multiple times getting away from the opponent with very little health. Utilizing his clones well. As far as the series in general, I mean, it was a Brian series. Game 2 especially, very slow. I think 4 kills at 27 minutes. Sandbox with a 3k gold lead or something. Like, it was one of those slow-ass games that just make you want to, like, I don't know, poke your eyes out. I mean, what are you going to do? Brian, in game 1, drafted a composition that requires them to get things started in the early game. That's very counterproductive. I don't understand why they did that. You know, I thought Brian would actually win this. This was the prediction I thought would win. I got 3-1 on this board here. And in the end, they didn't. They tried to play early game compositions and just couldn't do anything. Teddy looked good on the Azrael and Zaya. Give him his credit, but I thought Closer with the LeBlanc was the star of the show. Clear played better into Morgan than I thought he would. I thought that was the area where Brian could have taken advantage of Sandbox, and they frankly just didn't do anything with it. It's not crazy, actually, honestly, with how the split has went the last couple weeks for the LCK. Right now, the same 6 teams that made the playoffs last time are in the playoffs again. I mean, what are you going to do? LEC, Fnatic, and Team Heretics. Fnatic win 3-1. Humanoid, 14-8, 30, 34% of damage. He was my MVP. I think you could have made a case for multiple players. Razork, 8-5, 32. Flacked, 8, 12, 14, 28% of damage in the loss. Heretics, game 1, dominated. Yanko setting a pace that couldn't be matched. Vethio carrying on a Yone, if I recall. Evie not inting his face off, actually solo killing Oscarinin in top lane, and Flacked and Mersa just being solid, keeping Noah under control, and Heretics win. Game 2, Heretics get out to an early lead. Yanko setting a pace, unable to be matched by Razork. However, in the mid-game, Humanoid would help bring the team back alongside Noah. Humanoid gets the MVP credit because when you look at the gold diffy, because LEC's UI is great, we get to see the gold diffy. Humanoid ended up gapping Vethio a bit by mid-game, and that identified as, okay, this guy is the one that's making the difference here. He's the one with the gold, right? I think you can make a case that that's false, false read on the situation, but at the same time, I thought Humanoid was really good in the last couple games of this series, and Noah as well. Noah just showing, hey, I'm the Korean import in this game. Just keep that in mind. You have a Japanese import in top lane, Heretics. And, I will say this. Nothing against Evie. Like, it is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, they gave him Lilia. And I'm happy about that because all split long, I've been saying all year long, Heretics brought in Evie to play K'Sante and Renekton and Gnar. Like, what are we doing? A lot of K'Sante. And I felt like Evie throughout his entire DFM career, when it came to international events, the reason why he could be world class and competitive was because he had weird picks. Lilia, Urgot, Mordekaiser stick out to me. Shen, I believe, is another one. And he never got an opportunity to play these champions with Heretics. So it's like, what the hell are we doing? One of his pluses is that he can do many different things. So he gets the Lilia in Game 4, and honestly, he was not the reason why they lost. The game was already getting into Fnatic's hands, and he was 1-0-0 and pretty even in gold. Actually, might have been even up on Oscarinen in gold. But unfortunately for him, when it came to team fights, Fnatic were just better. Noah was better, Humanoid was better, and Oscarinen found moments to come through. Outside of that solo death in top lane, Oscarinen played well. I think Yanko's probably set the pace over Razork for the entire series. But as far as carry roles are concerned, Fnatic were better. Vethio didn't do enough. I said that, in my predictions, I predicted Fnatic 3-1, and then I hesitated, and I thought to myself, I'm just completely forgetting about Vethio. And the way he's playing right now is cracked. And he's capable of winning this series by himself. And I said, Vethio is the player that Heretics needs to come through. And in Game 1 he did, but the rest of the series just simply did not. Humanoid was ahead of him. And, that is why Humanoid gets MVP as well. Because Vethio is the guy, right? So if you can keep him under control, you've got a good chance. And that's kind of what happened there. So Fnatic win 3-1. Sneak peek for tomorrow, LCK, T1 KT, T1 17th in the power rankings, 7 and 8 coming off of a loss to DRX. KT 3rd in the power rankings, 14 and 1 coming off of a win against the Guangdong Freaks. Last time they played, KT won 2-0. Aiming 23, 1 and 13, 36% of damage in the win. Gumayushi 385, 31% of damage in the loss. After that, we have DRX HLE. DRX 4 and 11 coming off of a win against T1. HLE 10th in the power rankings, 10 and 5 coming off of a win against Nongshim. Last time they played, HLE won 2-0. King Viper Life went 19-3 and 34 for 1,468 DPM. That was 57% of HLE's damage. Now, Rascal, Paddock, and Barrel had the opposite KDA. So 2 kills, 23 deaths, and 4 assists for 1,060 DPM, and that was 2/3 of the team's damage. So 400 less DPM and 10% more of the damage. We could see DRX got smoke showed. Differences, now HLE obviously have Grizzly instead of Clid, and then DRX have Fate in instead of Yahoo, or Kyahu, or I still can't pronounce his name. LPL playoffs. Top Esports LNG. Both teams are 12 and 4. Top 7th in the power rankings, LNG 5th. When they played to start the split, LNG won 2-1. Gala went 13-7 and 9, 36% of damage in the win. Jackie Love 10-5, 17 with a 42% share in the loss. So Jackie Love more important to his team than Gala when it came to damage output there. But like I said, that series is the first one those two teams played, or at least the first one LNG played for the split. So very different teams now than before. Lastly, LEC, Fnatic, and XL. Fnatic 13th in the power rankings, 7 and 2. XL 18th, 5 and 4. When they played in summer, Fnatic would win. Noah went 11-05 and 36% of damage. Patrick 245, 35% of damage in the loss. So that is the next best of 5, right? As Fnatic try and build up some championship points in XL. Honestly, both of these teams need the win if they want any chance in hell at going to, especially XL, of going to regional finals or whatever they're doing. So that's it for the roundup. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.